Hi there, and thanks for joining me for another edition of Dumb It Down for Me, Dave. Today's topic that we're going to discuss is hosted voice systems or hosted telephone systems. These have come about over the past 5 years, I'd say, and grown in real popularity. And they use voice over IP technology, which I'm sure you've heard that buzzword before. But we're not going to focus on the technology itself. We're just going to focus on what this is and what it can do for your business. So I'm going to talk about some of the real key benefits to your business. So let me just give you a really quick overview of what a hosted phone system is. Not unlike other cloud-based solutions, a hosted phone system is where we take your telephone system that's normally located in your office space and usually have a closet somewhere where you've got something hanging on the wall, and that's your phone system. So what we're essentially going to do is we're going to take that out of your phone's closet, and now that's going to be provided by somebody out there in the cloud, or through a data center, where they're going to have a phone system sitting in a rack, and they're going to supply phone services to multiple clients. But basically they're going to carve a piece out of that phone system for you, and they're going to deliver that to you over some kind of communications link. And we're going to talk about that. And once here, they're going to connect it to a little piece of equipment, probably a switch, and then that switch is going to plug into your cabling, which is connected to the rest of your office. So you've got now telephones and desktop hardware sitting here off of that connection, and you can have both telephone and computer connected to the same connection there. So that's essentially what you're going to get there. So the first benefit really here is most of these providers will do this for you with very low or no upfront cost. So different from purchasing the system that sits in your office in the closet there, where you're going to spend thousands of dollars to get on board, many of the hosted providers will get you started off the ground for very low installation fees, so you can save really thousands and thousands of dollars rather than buying a phone system. Number two is also related to cost savings, and that's going to be the fact that you're going to get some bundled telephone minute pricing. So if you're a company today that spends a fair amount of money on your local and long distance calling, these hosted systems will provide you with either an unlimited local and long distance bundle, similar to what you might have at home with a cable phone or phone over DSL connection, or they're going to provide you with a large bundle of minutes. And they primarily can do that because with this connection that they have to you, they've pretty much leapfrogged any of the local carriers like we have up here in the Northeast. Verizon. Verizon's really not in the equation here, so they don't have to pay them for those minutes. They're able to provide you with a fixed low rate, so that saves everybody some money. The next benefit that you should consider is the fact that a lot of these systems will come with many of the big phone system features, and they're usually included in the basic monthly service fee that you'll pay. One of the great features that we used to sell when I was selling phone systems was having voicemail show up in email. Now that's been around for a long time, but it was a very costly feature to have, especially when you wanted to lump in faxes as well. So if you wanted to receive your faxes in your email box, you needed to buy special hardware. And with a hosted phone system, obviously you don't have to buy any of that hardware. And even better than that, it may be included in your monthly rate, or it is just a small increment, and you can choose that per user. So if you've got 3 or 4 people that are going to need to get faxes delivered to their email address, you only need to pay for it for those few people. Whereas in the old scenario, you had to buy that piece of hardware no matter how many people use it, whether it was 1 or 50. So that's a great benefit. The other benefit I'd like to talk about is the fact that your administration costs go way down. So in a traditional phone system, you would usually have a vendor who would provide you with a maintenance contract, and that would be a yearly contract, and that would cover whatever the contract covered, but pretty much any kind of maintenance that you need to do on the system. And for the most part, you were calling that vendor when you needed to set up a new user, set up a new voicemail box, move an extension from one place to another. That pretty much goes away 100%. And the reason for that is these hosted phone system companies, they have built their administrative portals, so the way that you administer the phone system, with the end user in mind, because they don't want to support a giant call center or have engineers that are going out on the field. That's not their business model. They want you to be self-sufficient. Now that's good and bad, but for the most part you're going to save money on administrative tasks, and usually someone in your office can be brought up to speed very quickly on how to administer the phone system. The next benefit we'd like to talk about is avoiding obsolescence. So if you are familiar with services from the phone company where everybody would have a phone on their desk with a different phone number, and you would provide, you would pay the, like Verizon or New England Telephone back then, a monthly fee for everyone to have a phone, and they took care of pretty much running the core of the system. Well, that's similar to how hosted phone systems run. You are not responsible for the hardware. You're not responsible for any of the software that's sitting up here in the cloud. That is constantly being updated, and you get that as part of the monthly service. So if there's a great new feature that comes out, they can roll it out to all the clients. They may choose to provide that to you for free. They may ask you for a small increment in the monthly if you want to have a hold of that feature. But the great thing is you get to pick and choose. You're not forced into upgrading, which would happen quite often with the old hardware vendors. You don't have to upgrade different features that you don't want or don't want to pay for. Another great feature I'd like to talk about is if your business has multiple locations. So if you have a small phone system in each location and that becomes a bit of a headache to manage, hosted phone systems are a really great solution for you there as well. The great thing about hosted systems in this case is that it's really not geographically limited. So as long as you can get a connection to the hosted phone system provider, you can have offices really anywhere that they can reach you, and that's pretty much anywhere in the country. So you would have the ability to have calls come in and then routed to a specific location based on what area code they might be calling from, or you might have a central receptionist who's going to answer all the calls and then transfer the calls to your other locations with a simple 3 or 4 digit dialing plan. You could have an automated attendant that can just completely automate that whole scenario. And disaster recovery is also another benefit to these systems. That leads me right into disaster recovery. Since the brains of the system is here again, and if it doesn't see any of your locations, it can then automatically route those calls to another location. Or if you're a single location and your connection goes down, or you have a power outage and you can't get the system up and running, they can then forward those calls to a cell phone or a home phone or whatever you need. The one thing we need to pay attention to, and I kind of hinted at it a bit, was that there are really one big differentiator in these different kinds of systems, and that is how the provider is reaching you. And if that is through a private connection, like I said, or in a situation where they don't care what your connection to the internet is and they'll reach you over the internet, sort of a bring your own bandwidth type of scenario. Both have their advantages and disadvantages. If you're just connecting to them through your own internet connection, the price is probably going to be much lower, but that comes with the fact that the provider cannot guarantee any of the voice quality there, since they're not controlling that connection that you have to the internet. So if your business can tolerate your occasional dropped calls or echo or jitter, maybe the phone is really just used for internal communications, that's fine, and that just might be a great solution for you. So that really concludes the subject of hosted phone systems, and I hope you got enough information out of this little segment that will help you make a better buying decision. I look forward to seeing you next time. Take care.